Hi, Algebra 1. This video is going to take you through a few of the problems on your page 117 assignment. So let's start with number 3. So you are supposed to do this whole page, but I'm going to pick and choose a few examples that might be helpful for you to see and hear explained, and then the rest of them are on you to do. One thing that might be helpful is to write out your full list of perfect squares at the top of the page. I'm going to start it off with a few at least. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, etc. You should continue that list. And when we're looking at a problem like 3, I want to know what's the biggest perfect square that goes into 45. So I'm going to think through the numbers less than 45. The perfect squares less than 45, do they go into 45? So 25 does not go into 45. 16 does not go nicely. 9 does. So 9 is my biggest perfect square that multiplies to 45. We make our two roots, and I know 9 times 5 makes 45, but the square root of 9 is 3. So my answer to that is 3 root 5. For a problem like 4, when it has a negative in front like that, what it's really saying is it's negative 1 times the square root of 48. And so we're going to just break down square root of 48 the same way, and we're going to have a negative 1 in front of it. So 48, same thing. Think through your perfect squares. 25 doesn't go into 48. We're trying to find the biggest one. 16 does. This is one to kind of get used to. 48 is going to be 16, not 4 and 12. So it's negative 1, and then root 48 we say is 16 times 3. So that would be negative 1 times the square root of 16 is 4 root 3, and then negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 root 3. So that negative just hangs out in front if there's one. Okay, let's jump down to 9 and 10. In your notes, you should have copied down the property, square root of a times b is equal to square root of a square root of b, and it works both ways. So we could also have two square roots multiplied together, and you multiply the inside numbers together. Sometimes that can be helpful to do. So in number 9, square root of 6 times square root of 6 is the square root of 6 times 6, which is 36. But what is the square root of 36? It's just 6. And so my answer there is 6. The square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is 6. For 10, similar thing. You also want to check, like, okay, are 6 and 3 perfect squares? No, but let's multiply them together. We can make this 6 times 3 is 18. Now here, 18 is not a perfect square, but we're going to try to break it down. I can split 18 up into root. I would have 9 and 2. 9's a perfect square. So then square root of 9 is 3. Root 2. Done. For a problem like 14, we're going to say we have a square root of a fraction, and another rule you hopefully wrote down is that the square root of the fraction is equal to the square root of the top over square root of the bottom. You can split the square root up like that. Square root of 11 is not a perfect square, and 9 doesn't go in 11, 4 doesn't go in 11, so we can't split it up, so the square root of 11 just stays. Square root of 169 is 13. And so we actually simplify that to be just 13, and there's our answer. I'm not going to do 15, but when you look at it, or 13, like, you can simplify. It's already split into top and bottom, so you simplify what's the square root of 9, and then can we break down square root of 8, kind of like the problems we did up above. And I think the last one I want to do is 17. Hopefully you read the directions for the following. You will need to reduce the fraction before square rooting. So I'm going to take this, and instead of splitting it up into root 8 and root 50, I can reduce the fraction first, and it's going to make my life easier. So 8 and 50 both divide by 2. divide by 2, divide by 2. It's like I'm reducing it, so now it's 4 over 25. And those are both kind of nice numbers because they're perfect squares. So I split it up, square root of 4 over square root of 25. And that gives my answer is 2/5. So there you go. There's some hints about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of your homework problems. You still got 12 more to do. And hopefully this helped. Thanks.